a job, and it's lasted an unbelievable 25 years.
All dreams, unfortunately, come to an end. 25 years, 408 games, and virtually every record available to a kicker belongs to Louis as he makes his final curtain call tonight.
At the stadium at BC Place, one last kick at it for Lou Busaglia before the hometown fans. It's Lou's final game on home turf. It will be an emotional time for all BC fans.
Danny Barrett's Roughriders were there when Pinball played his last game, and they'll be here when Louis plays his last game. Tough situation, but this is a team that's turned its season around.
Steve Barretto gets one last game to get ready for a Sunday date with the Eskimos in the Western semifinal in Edmonton. First kick of the night will not be Lou Busaglia's. Brad Anderson will kick off proceedings here at BC Place Stadium.
He was an emotional Louis Busaglia when he was standing there listening to his name introduced for the last time here at BC Place Stadium.
And only the second time in his career. Louis Busaglia was introduced one time at Empire Stadium. Didn't like the feeling that night, so asked that he not be introduced again. So he was here tonight. Chris Zarka on the return. And Henry Burris, slightly shaken up, missed last week's game. Marvin Graves jumped in for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, had a pretty nice night. Threw 3 touchdown passes and beat the Eskimos. The receivers outside are Marsh and Bendros, inside Gulliford and Farthing. And the running back is Davis. He's had a great year. Up front, Andrew Green at left guard is the nominee for the Roughriders for the Dodge Outstanding Player Awards. Tonight's lineups brought to you by Midas, your auto service experts. Marvin Graves to throw on first down, and he's on the money for a first down to Curtis Marsh.
Well, a few changes for the defensive side of the football for the BC Lions. Their nominee for outstanding defensive player, Herman Smith, out of the lineup, replaced by Keith Jackson up front. Damon Cogdell gets the start at middle linebacker, and in the secondary, Mike Crum is the free safety, and they'll go with Chuck Levy on the corner, replacing the injured Raphael Ball.
So big first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Just outside the BC 40-yard line. Graves again. He's 2 for 2. And it's Marsh again, short of the first down this time. But Graves played pretty well last week, I thought, against Edmonton.
Well, he played tremendous when you consider he hasn't had a whole lot of playing time. Got a lot of playing time. In fact, played the whole game. And Henry Burris threw a little bit in warm-up. The shoulder isn't perfect, and they say, why risk it? This game obviously doesn't mean anything in the standings. Give Marvin Graves a chance to play and not further injure the shoulder of Henry Burris.
Well, they don't want their number one quarterback rehabbing through the entire offseason if he further damages his right shoulder. Gain of 9. This is 2nd and 1, and Graves will have the first down with relative ease. Starting quarterbacks tonight. Close up here for Robbins Donuts. Marvin Graves, 24 of 47, 390 yards and limited playing time. And Damon Allen hitting on 61% of his passes, which is absolutely a fabulous number.
Of course, last week, Damon Allen broke Ron Lancaster's record for all-time passing yardage.
Graves on first down. Darren Davis made the catch. And well short of a first down. In fact, a loss of about 4 yards on the play.
Well, Darren Davis has really become the guy for the Saskatchewan Roughriders when they look at that position into the future and into next year. Darren Davis very close to making that 100 or the 1,000-yard mark as a running back.
He's at 910 coming into the game. 2nd and 15 from the shotgun. Graves has time. Got him away. Almost underhanded or sidearmed, intending it for Zarka. But Graves hits the turf, and the Roughriders are in a kicking situation.
Well, he just drops back into that shotgun formation. Good coverage downfield by the BC secondary, who've been playing better in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Good news for them heading into the playoffs, a date against the Edmonton Eskimos in Edmonton. One hop that one to Curtis Marsh.
Paul McCallum hitting on 78% of his field goal tries. This ball will be spotted right near the 44-yard line. First points of the night. Not up on the board yet. Well, one will count as Cunningham surrenders a single. So McCallum is wide. From 44, the kicking hero everyone is waiting to see tonight is on the other side. It's Louis' night at BC Place. Lions quarterback Damon Allen, after a big week last week when he became the CFL's all-time leading passer, has an outside shot to hit 5,000 yards this season.
Well, the question tonight will be, does Steve Barato leave him in the football game long enough to get 5,000? I don't know that he will.
Coming in, he's 243 yards shy. Sean Millington looking for a big night too, hoping to crack the 1,000-yard barrier. He's 48 away coming in. Jackson and Blair are the outside receivers. Oliver and Graham inside. And a pretty nice backfield look at with Millington and Drummond. Up front, Jamie Terrace is the anchor. Chris Perez is the nominee for the Dodge Outstanding Offensive Lineman Award. Gain of 5 yards. This is 2nd and 5. Little shovel pass and a one-handed catch by Jimmy Cunningham. That's good for the first down.
Well, defensively for the Saskachewan Roughriders, their nominee for outstanding defensive player is Demetrius Maxey. The nominee for outstanding rookie is George White, who leads the CFL in tackles. And in the secondary, Marcus McDavid is the free safety with 3 interceptions and a sack on the season.
Cunningham got the first down. The Lions hand off to Sean Millington. Four yards for Millington, who's had an outstanding season here.
Well, he really has. He's on the verge of 1,000 yards rushing on the season and really picked it up in the second half, which is, again, good news heading to Commonwealth Stadium, where the running game becomes more important as the weather turns foul.
And it could be that way for the Western semifinal next Sunday afternoon. Lions and the Eskimos at Commonwealth. Deep drop for Allen and a huge throw. Touchdown, Alfred Jackson. And that was a beauty. He didn't break stride. 55 yards.
Deja vu to a week ago with Damon Allen, of course, passed Ron Lancaster for all-time yardage for a quarterback on a 45-yard throw to that guy, Alfred Jackson. And this is how he started the game last week, with a big play. And you're right, John. I mean, Alfred Jackson caught that one in stride.
We won't hear that little chant after tonight in this stadium, will we? For Lou Pasaglia, who has his first point of the evening, the Lions have a 7-1 lead on the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
It all starts for protection up front for Damon Allen. He gets time to throw the football. Marcus McDavid is a little shallow, number 32, and Alfred Jackson blows right by him, and Nate Terry catches it in stride, and with that catch, goes over 1,000 yards receiving on the season. What a throw by Damon Allen. Up and overs where only Alfred Jackson can catch it. Nate Terry in the game for Jackie Mitchell.
Jackson's 11th touchdown reception of the season. Short kick. Coming down to Kennedy Nikiason near the 40 and across to about the 42. 6 on the return.
Well, if Alfred Jackson keeps having a night like that, then Louis Pasaglia will just be kicking singles on the extra point. Pretty excited for his teammate. Went on there and kicked the extra point. By the way, throughout his career, only missed 3 extra points his entire career. 1,042 tries.
3 misses.
Only 3 misses in his entire
on that
career.
is pretty darn good, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't figure out the percentage, but it's good.
Saskatchewan first down. And tough running at the 45 for a 5-yard gain. Darren Davis.
You know, the question mark for the Lions as they head into the playoffs, and has been all year long, is their defensive side of the football. They lost Raphael Ball to injury on the corner a week ago. That puts Chuck Levy on the corner. The first chance that he gets a full game at corner. He's an offensive player and has been throughout his career, and that includes college and his time in the National Football League.
But he's a great athlete, and they figure he can do the job out there. Graves, far side. Levy will have to come up and make the tackle here.
Well, they're testing him. Saskatchewan Roughriders going right at him to see if he can play the corner from start to finish. And the guy they're going to is Curtis Marsh. In 2 games against the BC Lions this year that Curtis Marsh played in, he had over 300 yards receiving. He's just going to run an out pattern over there. It was Chuck Levy gets him lots of room and turns his hips in a hurry to respect his speed. So they'll go after him and just see if that two-way player can hang in there from start to finish on the island.
19-yard gain, 1st and 10. Riders at the BC 46. Marvin Graves playing for Henry Burroughs tonight. This is long for Ben Ross. He's got it. And out at the 1-yard line. But there's a flag down in the area of the catch. Ben Ross made the catch, almost got to the end zone.
It looked like some confusion in that secondary for the BC Lions. They all bailed out across the board.
Contact on a receiver. BC number 2. Penalties declined. First down.
I should say so. That was Eric Carter called there.
Well, Marvin Graves had his choice of receivers, a lot of open receivers to look at. The Lions secondary, like I mentioned, just turned around and bailed.
Riders get a good chance here now with Ben Ross out at the 1 to take the lead one more time. Flags are down again, and Davis has the touchdown if it stands. He made it across the line. He's really made a difference to Saskatchewan's offense, Darren Davis.
Well, coming into the game 90 yards away from 1,000 yards on the season, and you're absolutely right. Darren Davis, and that's why they're so excited about this football team and the future of the football team in Saskatchewan. Darren Davis is their tailback, close to 1,000 yards. What Henry Burroughs has done all season. They're going to have to try this again. It looked like they were offside. Oh, no, then it was procedure against the Lions.
So they do rule it a touchdown.
Absolutely.
Referee's mic was not heard in the stadium, so there's a malfunction down there with the microphone. McCallum adds the single point. Roughriders have the lead by a point on the BC Lions.
You mentioned John Louis Passaglia introduced before this football game, obviously very emotional. That was the shot of him just before they called him out. He's only been introduced twice in 25 years with the BC Lions. The first time was his very first game in Empire Stadium, and it was such a tremendous feeling for Louis Passaglia to be introduced and start the dream that he had as a child growing up in Vancouver. He felt he could never top that. He could never top the feeling he had that very first introduction at Empire. So he asked the team to not introduce him again. So that's the second time in 25 years that he's been introduced.
Very seldom do special teams units get introduced. There's the field goal try for McCallum. It's on the money, and he's just one of the kickers that tried to take Louis' job away over the years. Here's Farhan.
Thanks, John. We're here with one of the other kickers trying to take Louis' job, at least next year, Dan Giancola. Dan, you're not in the lineup right now, but you're probably more nervous than Louis. You got a camcorder. You're trying to chronicle all of this.
Oh yeah, man. This is phenomenal. I've idolized this guy my whole life, and I came out of the closet today and told him. So it's huge. This is great for him. I'm ecstatic for him. I can't believe I'm here. This is just, I might be on the sidelines right now, but I'm still in CFL and I'm enjoying this moment. And this one thing I'll never forget. It's a great experience.
Now you're going to win the league's timing award. You'll be in the right place at the right time next year. Talk about trying to replace a legend.
It's going to be, it's going to be something. I'm nervous. I'm very much looking forward to it. There's no question about that. And I hope if they give me the opportunity to come in here, and I don't think anybody can replace Louis Pasaglia. But actually, I know nobody can replace Louis, but I can do my best to be the best I can be and do the best I can do for the team and the city.
Dan, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's Dan Giancola. I'll tell you, he is going crazy. Louis spending the whole time on the sidelines trying to get him away from him.
Penalty on that previous play, a couple of yards for Sean Millington. Interesting when you look on the other side of the field. You know who's a free agent next year? Paul McCallum.
Well,
you know who wouldn't mind playing in BC next year?
Well, Dan Giancola may have Paul McCallum to battle with in training camp, but there are an awful lot of kickers throughout the last 25 years that look up to Louis Pasaglia. Paul McCallum was one of them.
Millington was spun around after he grabbed about a half a yard. It was 1st and 5. Penalty against the Lions. Here are the numbers after quarter one. Time of possession favors Saskatchewan. 10 minutes, 19 seconds compared to 4:41.
Yeah, well, the Lions scored on one play. Saskatchewan's been moving the football successfully and going after Chuck Levy on defense, working that side of the field, but not enough field goals for Louis Pasaglia in his big night.
He hasn't had an opportunity yet.
No, maybe Damon Allen can get him in field goal range on this drive.
Millington couldn't make the catch. He was spun around a little bit. And Omar Morgan was right in his rearview mirror.
Sean Millington would want that football a little earlier from Damon Allen. He drops back and tosses it out there. He has to come back to try and get it. Had he got that ball a little bit earlier, he might have got a chance to turn the corner.
Second punt of the night for Lou Pasaglia, standing back inside his 30. Third down and a couple to go. He wouldn't run here, would he?
Well, he's done it many, many times in 25 years.
That's a little high, and so is the punt. Louis angles it to the far side. Not much room to run over there for Eric Gulliford. Lou Pasaglia's farewell night at the stadium at BC Place.
On your long career, and I remember watching you when I was a young child back in Ancaster, Ontario. Oh yeah. No, I guess I wasn't. We're the same age, but seriously, good luck in your off-field endeavors. I know you'll do well, and next time you play against Winnipeg, make sure we win. Thanks, Bob.
Comedian kickers all night tonight.
Well, Bob Cameron has way more gray hair than Louis.
Just a little younger. Here's Marvin Graves. And that'll be good for a first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Graves really had a nice week against Edmonton last week. Put 54 points up on the board.
Well, it's tryout time for everyone in the Saskatchewan Roughriders organization. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of season you've had. You don't want to give up in the last two games, even though you're out of the playoff picture. You know the coaches will be looking at the last two films throughout the offseason. You want to show well and make sure you're invited back to training camp.
And the Riders have moved the ball well tonight. Here's Darren Davis. Reversing his field and finding room to the other side, leading the blockers. Out front is the quarterback, Graves, who got all the way down to the 20-yard line. Darren Davis finally stopped by Crum.
What's impressive about the run is the way he puts the brakes on, starts again, and accelerates so quickly. Right there, he's at a dead stop. There, he stops dead in his tracks, then starts again. Marvin Graves tries to get a block, passes up a couple of guys. Mike Crum, one of them. He makes a tackle, but impressive run. Watch when he puts the brakes on as he runs this football. Bounces to the outside, slams on the brakes there, and then great acceleration coming out of that, gets to the reverses field.
Net result, a 28-yard gain, and Davis has it again. This time, the Lions are waiting, and he's limited to 3. Playing in his 12th game in 2000.
Went to Iowa State, the first player in college history at that university to rush for over 1,000 years in 3 straight years. 1,000 yards, I should say, in 3 straight years. And got tremendous change of direction. Cuts on a dime, hands you a little change, and goes back the other way.
And he's closing in on 1,000 here tonight, 51 yards so far. And he was 90 short coming in. Graves with time. Nice toss. Marsh makes the catch, and 3 Lions are there waiting to pounce on him, led by Carter. Curtis Marsh has had an outstanding season, an excellent road runner.
Well, he's got it all. He's got great speed, but tremendous size as well, around 6'3". He's over 200 pounds, and that's why he's so dangerous. When he takes off and he's that size, it's awful difficult for corners who usually are around 5'11" to stay with him. Leading the CFL in his first year in this league. Now he's an older rookie.
29.
Yeah.
80 yards already tonight. First down, Saskatchewan. Graves to the end zone. Touchdown. Eric Gulliford has his 7th touchdown reception this season.
Well, I mentioned the lack of pressure from a banged-up defensive line means the Lions have to blitz, and they send their linebackers up into the line of scrimmage, which means one-on-ones in the back end, and Derek Lewis gets beat to the outside from Eric Gulliford.
All right. Says Marvin Graves. 3 touchdown tosses last week against the Eskimos.
You know, with Eric Gulliford on one side and Curtis Marsh on the other side of the formation, and this receiving core, they both had 1,000 yards on the season. The last time that happened was back in '94 for Saskatchewan with Elgard and Donald Narcisse.
Roughriders off to a hot start. Nothing on the line for Saskatchewan on CFL Live tonight. Marvin Graves stands in and fires for farthing, a one-hopper.
You know, it's interesting, though, and a lot of people say that about kickers, and Al Wilson was one of the guys that took Louis Pasaglia under his arm when he was, and under his wing when he was in his first year in '76 in training camp with the BC Lions. And Al Wilson this week in the newspaper said, you know what, the best compliment I can give my buddy Louis Pasaglia is to say he was a real football player. And he said, but don't tell him I said that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's talking to a reporter.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the Louis combination for a long time. Al Wilson at center.
Absolutely.
Graves pumps once and fires just a little too far for the cha-ching.
Dylan Ching. Right in that danger zone. Although he wasn't going to get hit, free safety Mike Crum had vacated the area. It was a tough catch. It was behind him a little bit. Marvin Graves knows it. That's why he was shaking his head.
So McCallum is in, ready to punt from the Saskatchewan 35. And Fletcher is deep for the BC Lions. Mike Fletcher standing back inside the 20. Not deep, bouncing out. There will be no return. All kinds of celebrities along the sidelines on Lou's night. Farhan.
John, whenever Louis Pasaglia is asked about his favorite coaches, this man is always near the top of the list, Dave Ritchie. Dave, can you talk about your relationship with Louis?
I think it was great. I told Louis one time that he could play as long as I coached him. And as far as I was concerned, he could play until George Blanda, his age was 50. And Louis is getting close to that now, at 46, 47. And, you know, he's just a great player. He's a great ambassador. And for the fans of Vancouver, it's been a wonderful 25 years, I believe. And when you think of a guy playing for one team for 25 years, it's hard to imagine. And, you know, Louis is such an ambassador. And you know when he goes out there to kick, as he did in 94, he's going to put it through the goalpost. game's over.
Coach, we also want to congratulate you for last night. Can you look ahead to next week?
Well, we're going a tough chore. We got to go into Hamilton, and our players responded real well last night, and they've been doing it for most of the year. It's just scoreboard hasn't read the right way most of the time, but they got the game they needed, and now it's what, a 3-game tournament, 1 game at a time, and we're going to go into Hamilton and do the best we can.
Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Interesting, when Richie had the Lions and won the Grey Cup in '94, he was in 3rd place in the West and won the 3 games he had to win to get to the Grey Cup.
No question about it. And it's going to be an interesting game in Hamilton next week, as Winnipeg will travel over to Hamilton and take on a struggling Ticat team. They play, of course, tomorrow against Calgary and desperately need to win to get their confidence back, I think.
Yeah, Ticats have really been in a tailspin. And, of course, the Lions will be at Commonwealth in Edmonton, second half of that semifinal doubleheader next Sunday afternoon, with the Stampeders waiting the Western semifinal winner and those Alouettes waiting the Eastern semifinal winner 2 weeks from Sunday. Nussmeier from the shotgun on first down. Oh, and Alfred Jackson had it in his mitts and let it get away.
Well, that would have been field goal range. That's why Louis looking on. He just turned his head just before the ball arrived. It happens to the best of them. Doug Nussmeier does a nice job of, he tried to get the shovel pass inside to Sean Millington, and that was covered, so he hung on to the football, and you saw how Alfred Jackson just turned his head up the field before the ball arrived. It's a slight slip in concentration at the wrong time.
2nd and 10. Nussmeier gets it away for Millington. Head of steam here. Millington tries to turn the corner. He'll have the first down, and this BC drive will continue.
Looks like Doug Nussmeier wants to get up there and start to call some plays on the line of scrimmage. Minute 41 left. He'd like to get this one in the end zone, obviously. Little screen pass set up and a nice block downfield by Jamie Terrace, the center. If you can't make that first block, that play doesn't work. Terrace makes it.
Sean Millington 5 yards away from 1,000 yards rushing on the season, and this could be it. He's over 1,000. Sean Millington.
Well, Alfred Jackson, 1 play, went over 1,000 receiving, and now Sean Millington rushing the football over 1,000. You throw in his close to 600 yards catching the football by the time it's all over, and that's a darn good season for Sean Millington, 1,600 yards from the line of scrimmage, and he gets an ovation.
Yeah, there's the round of applause for Millington, who's back home where he belongs in so many ways in BC. This Lion drive continues. 2nd down and less than a yard to go. Easily converted there. Millington coming into the game 1,469 all-purpose yards.
Well, when you look at the numbers, he's over 1,000 yards tonight, but I think what's most impressive is his average. Close to 7 yards rushing the football. I mean, that is very impressive for a running back. You usually hear that kind of average when you think of running from quarterbacks who are running quarterbacks, but look at that compared to a guy like Mike Pringle at 5.5. That's pretty impressive. Of course, Mike Pringle leads the league with over 1,700 yards rushing.
His running mate, Robert Drummond, number 29, has 1,575 all-purpose yards.
Of course, you got the running ability of Damon Allen to mix into the offensive game plan.
This drive continues for BC on a catch by Jimmy Cunningham. Allen is on the list as the #1 rushing quarterback in the history of the CFL, and he's got a few running backs in his sights all of a sudden. Johnny Bright not that far away, but Mike Pringle is going to keep running, so that's not going to be easy. Missed this opportunity. Nussmeier had the opportunity, completed the pass, but out of bounds. High snap.
Well, I'm not so sure that Doug Nussmeier wasn't just trying to throw that one out of bounds and save the huge loss, but Jackson ran under it. got it about 2 yards out of bounds. He started looking down the coverage. A lot of times people say this is the downside of the shotgun formation. The upside is you're back off the line of scrimmage, and it usually buys you a couple more seconds. The downside is you have to take your eyes off the secondary and off the reading the defense to catch the football. That time Doug Nussmeier looked down the field, and you see how far Alfred Jackson was out of bounds.
This will be 2nd and 10. Lions at the Riders' 24-yard line. Into the final 40 seconds of the opening half. Nussmeier has to get this one away, and does. Dennis Montana down inside the 11. Do you go for the touchdown or settle for the field goal?
Wow, look, this is a scrambling ability of Doug Nussmeier to get outside. You know, Montana's going to come all the way across the field. It looks like Alfred Jackson and Montana were really, one of the two were wrong when they started that pattern. I think Alfred Jackson adjusted, went down the seam. But look at the scrambling ability of Doug Nussmeier. This is what we were talking about early. Close to a 10-yard average running the football. He bought time on his own to get that one off.
Close enough to measure, and can't see from our angle very clearly. Looks like
an inch.
A couple of links of the chain. You're right.
And they'll go for that. I asked sort of jokingly, asked Steve Barato today, so if you get down in field goal range, just because it's Louis' night, do you kick field goals on 1st and 2nd down once you get down in for the close ones? He's like, no, we want to win the game.
Well, he also said if he could talk Danny Barrett into it, he might put Louis out in formation there.
Yeah,
throw
wide
the
receiver.
ball.
That's right. But he said, you know, Danny's got to make sure that he tells his defensive backs, let's just let him go. Let him go free. I don't think that's going to happen either.
Don't want to get number 5 hurt on his night. Nussmeier straight ahead, and he'll have the first down.
Well, it looked like he was going to run in the end zone. I mean, he just got in behind the right side of that offensive line and took about 4 or 5 steps. Watch the great surge from the right side of the line. He just 1, 2, 3. Well, no one's getting me. I just keep going. He got about 5 yards on that.
Yeah, he was only looking for a yard, and while he was standing, he still kept going for it. Nussmeier here. Missed Jimmy Cunningham.
Arkel Truluck made the play. He didn't buy the play action. And that forced the quick throw by Doug Nussmeier.
Stadium clock is acting up here, so I can't tell you exactly how much time is left. Now they put it back up 20 seconds.
See the play action there? Then the first part of this game, Truluck was going down inside to try and stop Sean Millington. This time, he keeps his containment, forces a quick throw, and that's why it doesn't work out for Jimmy Cunningham.
Nussmeier's put up some good numbers since taking over for Damon Allen, who is resting on the sidelines. 7 of 11 for 105 yards. Looks for the touchdown here and can't get it. 2 Riders collide in coverage.
Omar Morgan came and dropped off his man, which was Dennis Montana, to come up and help out his buddy, the halfback. I believe it was Nate Terry. You see Morgan, number 3, see him drop his guy and come up out of the coverage. Dennis Montana's wide open. He sees the ball coming to the outside to Cunningham, decides I'll come up and help out my friends, and makes a pretty good play on the football.
Yeah, Morgan put a pretty good hit on Jimmy the Jet Cunningham. Lion fans got what they wanted here. No touchdown. Chance for a field goal for Lou Pasaglia. He's 2 for 2 tonight. Couple of chip shots. That one in particular, but Lou is 2 for 2 on the evening in field goals. 1 field goal without a miss would set a single season record established by Dave Ridgway, 90.6% efficiency. So Louis is got it that right now.
Stays perfect. He's got the record, and
Red Eye tonight, partner. Will be in Hamilton at Iverwin tomorrow. Stampeders, Tiger Cats, the Grey Cup rematch from 1999. Do you think it'll be a Grey Cup preview?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to say that. I don't think so. And you know Montreal Alouettes are listening.
Yeah, and all also the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
And the Edmonton Eskimos. And they're
Now
saying,
the Blue Bombers.
You say that's going to be a rematch, and I've got a word or two for you when you arrive in the city.
The only place you're safe is in BC because we're blacked out here tonight.
That's right. No, I'll just stay on the fence and go enjoy both those games in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, you're good there. You're comfortable there, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll just stay right on the fence. I'm neutral.
Davis has carried a couple of times for the Riders in the final few seconds of the opening half, and that should be it. No penalty markers down, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders have the lead by 5 on the BC Lions.
1.5 to go in Louis Passaglia's great career.
Now he's going to play next week. Louis Passagglia.
Well,
he's going to play
season.
in Edmonton.
Regular season.
It's his final game at home at BC Place. I mean, he might even be at the Grey Cup.
Could be.
There's still a chance. I'm saying there's still a chance. It's the CFL Live on Lou's night here at BC Place.
Congratulations, Louis, on your incredible career in the CFL. My idol in hockey growing up was Gordie Howe. And to me, you're the Gordie Howe of the CFL. Playing 25 years and maintaining such a high level of skill, dedication shows what a great athlete you have been. From my earliest hockey playing days in Edmonton to my CFL ownership days in Toronto, I was able to see what a huge fan favorite you were across the country and how you always carried yourself in a classy manner. Good luck to you and your family in the future.
Pretty
Gretz,
cool.
Yeah, Gretz hasn't been close to the Gillette for a while, I see. Remember
cool.
breakfast here in Vancouver when Gretz came and sat down?
Yeah. Well,
And he sat with us for an hour and a half. We talked nothing but football, and you never said a word.
well, he's my hero. He is definitely.
Never said a word.
Well, I had a lot I wanted to say. I just had trouble getting it out.
Yeah, it was just the funny look on your face with your mouth open for that
Well,
long.
it's never happened to me with anybody else but Wayne Gretzky. He's one of my heroes.
Well, and Lou Passagglia is a hero to an awful lot of people in Canadian football, particularly in Vancouver and British Columbia, with all of the numbers that he has put up during this remarkable 25-year career. No one will ever top that.
Yeah, and you throw in the fact that he's been a tremendous punter throughout his career as well. And in fact, in 1983, it's a CFL record for punting average in a season when he averaged 50 yards a kick that year.
133,614 punting yards in his career. That's enough to get you from here to Whistler.
It was always the great plays he made from the punt formation, too. He's rushed for close to 200 yards or over 200 yards in his career. And, of course, passed for close to 500. You know, and that's primarily out of the punt formation. He had an uncanny knack to be able to know when the pressure was coming, when the block or the kick was going to be blocked, avoid the pressure, and pick up the first down. I know playing against Louis Passagglia for 11 years, I was always on that punt return team. And it was always told to us and taught to us that you have to make sure that Louis Passagglia kicks a football. We had to send 2 players at him all the time to guarantee that he punted it, because if you bailed out of there, he's such a great athlete, he would see it and he would take off running and get the first down on you.
Well, it's an emotional night in Vancouver, no question about it. We saw Louis Passagglia before the game and had a brief chat, and then saw him in the tunnel waiting to be introduced, and you could tell that it was a tough time for him in some ways. I mean, a joyous time for what he's accomplished, but certainly an emotional evening. Second half is underway with Jimmy the Jet Cunningham returning for the Lions out near the 33. 10-yard return on a 40-yard kickoff.
You know, and it is mixed emotions, I think, for a lot of Canadian Football League fans across the country, because you're sad because one of the greatest ever kicker in Canadian football is calling it quits at the end of this season, but also celebrating a tremendous career at 25 years in the league.
Louis had a lot of shoes on tonight. He's been changing the Adidas about every second time the ball changes hands out there. And I guess those shoes will be going as souvenirs to auctions and raising a little money for charity along the way. Sean Millington. Oh, Simon Buffo, correction on that. He slides into the backfield.
Yeah, some of the backups are going to get a chance to play in the second half. Simon Buffo is one. They'll rest Sean Millington, make sure he's ready for that playoff game. But yeah, you mentioned the community work from Louis Pasaglia. I mean, that's something that, you know, we haven't really even talked about, and that's something that he takes great pride in and has throughout his career. Talked to thousands of kids in this community.
Buffo picks up 17 yards, another first down, and now he tries the other side.
It's nice to have a guy backing up Sean Millington that can get it done. Simon Buffo getting a chance to play a little bit here tonight. He's had to work on his blocking in his 3 years with the BC Lions. That's been something that he's improved steadily as years go by.
Nussmeier, far side, has Jackson, and they say he stayed in bounds. Alfred Jackson with the catch. He's had a pretty nice night. His first big catch of the evening put him over the 1,000-yard mark, a 65-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and here's a guy again who's really played his best football in the last 4 or 5 games. In fact, the BC Lions have been trying to feature Alfred Jackson all season long. They struggled with it early, but now they move him around. They put him inside the formation at slot back. Sometimes he'll go back out to wide receiver just to get him the ball as much as they can.
It's time the Lions with 3 receivers to the far side, and they keep it on the ground with Buffo again for a couple of yards. Damon Allen began the football game. Nussmeier came in partway through the first half, and Allen is relaxing and enjoying himself on the sidelines. One lovely touchdown toss to the aforementioned Alfred Jackson for 65 yards.
Well, that started the game off.
Yeah, and it looks like Damon is ready for the playoffs next week in Edmonton.
And that was the banner they dropped last week when he broke Ron Lancaster's record.
Nussmeier has room to run to the far side, cuts it back in, and he'll be a little shy of the first down.
You don't often see a hook slide from Doug Nussmeier. He gets out in the open field, he tries to make you miss, and he'll put his head down and try and deliver a blow rather than always take the blows when you're running in the open field. And you know when the quarterback gets out there, the defenders can't wait to get up and lay a lick on him. But Nussmeier will take it.
9-yard gain, but it's third down. 1 yard to go, and the Lions look like they'll take a chance on this one. Set up inside the Saskatchewan 40-yard line at the 39. Nussmeier himself straight ahead, first down, because there are no flags anywhere.
Well, it's not as much of a gamble when you think back to the first half when he did that. Had about 3 inches to go and ran about 5 yards behind his offensive line. Steve Barato remembers that and says, hey, if we can get 5 yards on a quarterback sneak, it's no problem to gamble on 3rd and 1. Defense is a concern for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Defensive side of the football is something they continue to work on and have to work on for next season. It's a team that ranked 8th in the league against the run, 7th against the pass.
But they've kept the secondary together for quite a bit of time now. Nussmeier is wrapped up and fired to the ground for an 8-yard loss.
Yeah, the exception to the rule is the guy who just sacked him, Demetrius Maxey.
Yeah, well, Maxey has experience, and they've really found a great player in linebacker George White.
Well, that sack for Demetrius Maxey, his 11th on the season, that ties a personal best for him. One more, and he has his best ever season in the sack department. So, yeah, they're getting the leadership from Demetrius Maxey, no question. Colin Scrivener has played well. I still think they're looking for a dominant rush end off the edge. I don't know that Arkel Truluk has had the season that they expected out of him with just 1 sack coming into this game.
After the sack, it's 2nd and 16. Nussmeier has some open territory and likes to run.
Oh, look at
nice one here. He'll have the first down.
Reminds me a little bit of One of our buddies back in the studio, Matt Dunnigan, when he runs in the open field, he accelerates and he attacks. He doesn't run to find an open area to slide down. He runs to go hit somebody, and you saw the straight arm from Doug Nussmeier in the open field. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Matt Dunnigan when he gets out there. Watch him accelerate. Now he knows he wants to run. No hook slide from him. In fact, he turns out and gives a stiff arm to the leading tackler in CFL.
Dunnigan was a lot faster, though.
Well, yeah, no question about that.
6 carries, 38 yards for Nussmeier. This Lion drive continues. Simon Buffo, and he gets down to about the 20-yard line off the left side, in behind Harden and Perez.
A very interesting matchup when you think to next week. The Western semifinal versus the Edmonton Eskimos and this BC Lion team playing their best football offensively the last 4 weeks as BC Lions. Defensively, still a question mark.
Lions do look to have David Benefield and Herman Smith back in their lineup next week. On defense, Nussmeier, the touchdown toss is on the money. Alfred Jackson. That was a lovely pass from Nussmeier to Alfred Jackson.
And a little timing down just in case they need him next week. It was a nice throw, and it was a good job of throwing off Marcus McDavid, the safety, by looking him off. Marcus McDavid is really the only player. See how he's looking this way, then goes back to the seam the other way. Right down that seam, Marcus McDavid, see how late he is getting over?
Lions have the lead, and Lou Pasaglia adds one more to the BC total.
Antoine Hunter, the halfback, looked right at Marcus McDavid after the throw and said, "Hey, where's my help?"
Beautiful toss, Doug Nussmeier for the touchdown to Alfred Jackson. The Lions in the lead, 20-18. Well, the Lions have the lead on the Saskatchewan Roughriders after a sluggish start at times. Doug Nussmeier engineered a very impressive drive and finished it off with a toss to Alfred Jackson.
Well, I was impressed with the running ability of Doug Nussmeier on the drive.
Vendras on the return for Saskatchewan out near the 35.
A drive into double figures when you have 11 plays. Took 6 minutes. The Jackson catch was the scoring play, but that's the running ability of Doug Nussmeier. 19 yards, but they were key yards. He looks off. Safety Marcus McDavid goes back to the backside seam. It's under the category of ugly but effective. The pass was right on the money. A little wobbly, though.
Yeah, I didn't look at it as being that wobbly in real motion, but you slow it down, and it was quacking a little bit down there.
Little NCAA wobble on it.
It's Louis Knights, a final game for Lou Pasaglia at BC Place Stadium. We'll take a timeout on CFL Live.
Don't do it.
Hey there, you're an all-star. Louis. Oh, Louis. So Louis got 8 points. How did that? Oh, 99 moved right in front of Jackson.
Trivia question. I'll ask you that way.
What? Who caught?
Yeah.
The pass? How far was it?
45.
Hey, 31. Get out of the way. Alfred Jackson, number 7 for the Lions, has 2 touchdown passes tonight, including one from number 9 for 65 yards. And then last week, they got together.
This will be the trivia question. When Damon Allen broke Ron Lancaster's record, who did he throw to?
Lucky number 7, Alfred Jackson in the end zone, 45-yard reception. Touchdown, Damon Allen, and the all-time record for yards passing in Canadian football. Davis somehow escaped from the first pursuit of the BC Lions. Not much room after he did get free, however. He ran to the sideline.
Damon Allen a chance to sign some autographs over there on the sideline and just enjoy the rest of this football game.
Ron Lancaster's record, 50,535, looked really unbeatable for so many years. Damon Allen, in his 16th CFL season, got there more quickly than Lancaster did by 3 years. Marvin Graves on target. Big gain here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, out to the 50 on Curtis Marsh.
What a move by Curtis Marsh. I mean, really turned Central McClellan all around and confused him to a point where he was about 5 yards away from Marsh. Marsh is going to end up running a curl to the right of your screen. 34, Central McClellan is the guy responsible for him. Look at this. That's McClellan way over to the right, about 5-6 yards away from him.
Curtis Marsh leading all receivers in the CFL, 1,546 yards.
Well, you see number 2 and 3 on that list.
Yeah, they both play for the same team, don't they?
Well, that's why the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and you look at number 2 and 3 and you see Milt Stegall and Robert Gordon. That's why the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are pretty excited about their chances when they travel to Hamilton next week.
Well, the Bombers expect to have Albert Johnson III back in the lineup. I should say hope to.
Yeah, they hope.
They do expect to have G. Roy Simon ready for next week in the Eastern semifinal.
I just talked to Dave Ritchie a moment ago, and he said that Albert Johnson is a question mark. He thinks he can play, though, and that's half the battle.
Riders on a little roll here, 2nd and 5, and that play is whistled down. Marvin Graves replaced Henry Burris for last week's game. Put up 54
Time
points.
count violation. Saskatchewan number 7. Still 2nd down.
And that was a bit of the crowd getting into this one. You know, with Henry Burris' contract situation, he's entering his option year, and some are saying he may get a shot in the window of opportunity to get a National Football League tryout. You know, they're trying to re-sign Henry Burris to a longer-term contract in Saskatchewan and hope to do that this offseason. But this is where Marvin Graves has a chance to show the organization that if that happens, hey, they've got a pretty good quarterback.
And here's Graves facing 2nd and 10. He's got time to rifle it in there. And he's just short of the first down on a connection with Eric Gullford. Gullford made the catch. We'll see where they spot the ball because he's not that far off the 40-yard line.
Another very good throw. Steps up strong and delivers a strike and doesn't have a whole lot of room to do it as Carl Kidd is breaking on that football in a hurry. You take a look at that offensive line in Saskatchewan and the stability they have up front. Their running back in Darren Davis. A couple of quarterbacks that can get the job done, and Marvin Graves and Henry Burris, and the future looks pretty bright.
A yard shy, the Riders go for it here on 3rd and 1, and that'll be a first down. Saskatchewan continues the drive inside the BC 40. What might have been, had the Hamilton Tiger Cats been able to come back last week here in BC against the Lions. They lost by 6 points.
Yeah. Well, then the Saskatchewan Roughriders in this game tonight would have had to beat the BC Lions by 19 points or more, and then they would have had the playoff spot.
They would have had a shot at the playoffs.
That's how close they were, though, and Danny Barrett has done a tremendous job with this organization. You mentioned the problems he's had on defense, but he's stuck with a rookie secondary all season long. You know what? He went through some bumps and bruises because of it, but next year they'll be that much better. And that's how you build a team. Bring in people you believe in, bring in people with the athletic ability to play, and then let them learn the game. And the only way you can learn it is if you're on the field.
Riders with a first down at the BC 40. And this is one of the newcomers, Darren Davis, who has really made an impression playing in only his 12th game of the season. He's got a shot at 1,000 yards coming into the game tonight, 910.
Well, you got Curtis Marsh in that mix, and Darren Davis, like you just mentioned, Eric Gulliford. I mean, there's definitely some talent. They have a few holes to fill on defense. Great newcomer we've mentioned in defensive side, and George White.
From the shotgun, Graves, wide open target is Bendros, and he's grabbed by Chuck Levy. But not before the Riders get a first down. This is turning into a pretty exciting football game all of a sudden.
Well, Chuck Levy's got to watch the game film, and he's got to watch the way Eric Carter plays man-to-man. Chuck Levy's giving a lot of room to the Saskatchewan receivers. Eric Carter, on the other hand, on the other side, who's played corner his whole career, is really doing a number on that side of the field. But Chuck Levy's got to tighten up his coverage and start to challenge these Saskatchewan receivers.
Darren Davis is 5 yards away from his 1,000-yard season, into the end zone and tipped away. Derek Lewis was there along with Crum.
Oh, Mike Crum, he had the interception and just flat out dropped it. Marvin Graves did not see the free safety Mike Crum slide over there. He looked right at his receiver. Remember when Doug Nussmeier went down to Alfred Jackson, looked off Marcus McDavid? Well, that time Marvin Graves just locked into his receiver, and Crum should have had the pick.
Well, and you see Graves' reaction. He just couldn't look after he almost put it in his mitts.
Graves wants a timeout. Didn't like what he saw on defense.
Over to talk it over with Danny Barrett. Riders looking at a 2nd and 10 situation. They're down by 2 to the Lions at 20-18.
This is as loud as it's been in a long time here in BC Place Stadium.
We haven't had an official announcement on the crowd, but it's the best of the season for Lou's big night, without question. There were lineups for tickets outside the stadium at BC Place, and Louis might as well get him excited. Why not? They'll do anything he says in this town. Graves on 2nd and 10. Touchdown toss. A beauty. Eric Gulliford, his 2nd of the night.
Well, Marvin Graves had enough time in the pocket to allow Eric Gulliford to come all the way across the field, and that's why the play works. Look at this, 1 steamboat, 2 steamboat, 3 steamboat, 4 steamboat, and then throws it. He's got lots of time in there, and Mike Crum, the safety, saw him make the great play earlier. See how he jumped that short route, number 37, and that allows Eric Gulliford room in behind. Carl Kidd just can't run that far across the field. It's too far to cover.
The Riders have the lead one more time on the BC Lions. It's the final night of the 2000 season. Eric Gulliford has a couple of touchdown receptions, and the Riders have a 5-point advantage.
It's been a pleasure the past 13 years of being sort of in your company and having a chance to play against you. And I remember my very first game as a Calgary Stampeder exhibition game in BC Place. It was a wonderful experience, and seeing what you've been able to do this year by far, goes a long, long ways to the type of individual you are, not only as a professional but as a person as well. So I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. Keep kicking the ball straight, and best of luck to you.
Kickers from everywhere. I've got nice words for Lou Pasaglia in his 25th CFL season, his silver anniversary tour, and the final nights of football for Lou Pasaglia in Vancouver. He has 8 points on the evening, 2 field goals.
Here's what both teams are doing so far in the game. Pretty close when you look at the numbers, and that's why it's pretty close when you look at the scoreboard. 25 points separating the two teams. And, of course, all eyes on Louis Pasaglia Old number 5, but it wasn't always number 5.
No, he started out as number 18, didn't he?
That's right.
His first tour of duty with BC in '76. Little shovel pass here ahead for Buffo. And well read by the Riders as 3 of them got there, including Truelock and Henry.
Well, here's what happened. He was number 14 when he was in high school here in Vancouver at Notre Dame. So he wore number 14 as a quarterback. It was his favorite number. When he got to the pros in '76, he wanted number 14. Unfortunately, Joe Forqueen, defensive back for the BC Lions at that time, wore 14. So Louis thought, well, let's see, if I took the 1 and I add it to the 4, I get 5. Give me number 5.
There you go, number 5. Every time he steps on the field, there's a round sound of Lou for Lou Pasaglia. It's been that way in Vancouver for a long time. A little louder here tonight. Got it away. Gulliford returning for Saskatchewan, dropped at the 45. Reinson leading the BC tacklers. And penalty markers in several areas of the football field. I can count 3 right now.
Now this is sort of after the fact, pushing and shoving. They'll sort it out.
We'll check out the infractions into the 4th quarter. Roughriders on top of the Lions by 5. CFL Live from Vancouver. There's a standing ovation here for Lou Pasaglia. For some reason, they've dimmed the lights here in the middle of the 4th quarter to put a sign up.
They've shut the lights so that everyone could say thank you to Louis Pasaglia. Standing ovation so they can see the sign, love you, Louis, number 5. They'll have a ceremony following the game, but just a way to stop it for a second and say, thanks for an unbelievable career.
Love you, Louis nights here at BC Place. Here's Farhan.
Thanks, John. We're here with outgoing CFL Commissioner John Tory. And John, obviously Louis Pasaglia means so much to this community. Talk about what he has meant to the league and Canadian football.
Well, I think there are people like Pinball Clemens and Louis Pasaglia who are just so incredible in terms of not only their athletic accomplishments. Look at this guy. He holds pro football records, you know, way outside of the CFL. Pinball is just an incredible person, but that's the thing about these guys that I think really makes them mean so much more to the fans and to the communities, is that they're so much a part of the communities they play in, and they're people that are so well loved, not just as athletes but as people. So it's a tough year to have 2 guys like that retiring, but on the other hand, you know, I have a feeling these guys could be back. How many times has Louis retired now? 2 or 3? I said to Pinball today, he got an honorary degree at York University. I hope you come back and play a few games next year and retire again.
You're also on your way out as far as the CFL is concerned. Talk about what the future holds for the league without yourself and 2 pretty impressive players.
Well, look, I hope that these guys do well in their future career, whatever they do. This is, by the way, I guess maybe the first CFL game we'll have to call on account of darkness inside. But I hope they do well. And as for myself, I hope I can help Mike Lisco, the new commissioner, to do whatever he needs to do to keep building the league. We've made a lot of progress over the last 2 or 3 years, and we've got to keep it growing and keep it getting stronger.
John, thanks for your time and everything you've done for the league.
Thanks a lot.
John.
Well, I think the lights are gradually coming back on, but we can't play here for a minute or 2. The one thing we should mention there is it's been an interesting week in Canadian football, actually a couple of weeks going back to pinball. But last week, the Giz played his final game at Commonwealth Stadium. He was the only player introduced. Henry Williams is retiring at the end of the season, too. And I don't know if there was a more electrifying player who ever stepped on a CFL football field.
Well, it's been that kind of year. I mean, that is the year that the greats are retiring, and Louis Pasaglia, one of them. You mentioned Henry Williams, Pinball Clemens, and you know what? Saskatchewan Roughriders have been in town for all 3.
Yeah, and they ruined pinball's night in Toronto. They screwed it up for the Giz last week.
And they're leading
the Eskimos, and they're leading the Lions here tonight. You know, one more win for Saskatchewan along the way, and they could have been fighting for a playoff spot tonight.
Yeah, well, that was a classy, classy move. Stop the game. Why not? He'll retire his jersey tonight.
Well, I'm wondering exactly what's going on. We weren't told this was going to happen.
No one was told, and now Saskatchewan Roughriders are wondering why a flag hasn't been thrown for delay a game against the home team. They want this game to continue, and the lights are slowly coming back on, but no question that was planned.
We're going to turn on the lights and finish this thing off here tonight. Right now, a quick timeout from the stadium at BC Place on Louis' night.
Louis, on behalf of the Kickers over here with the Toronto Argonauts, I'd like to say thank you for the memories. I wish you the very best in the future, and hopefully I'll see you on the golf course. Take care.
Noel Prefontaine, one of the best in Canadian football. Let's bring in Farhan again.
Yeah, we stopped the game for, what, about 15 minutes? This is all you're doing.
That's what happens when somebody's stealing our energy and our hydro here in the province. I don't know where it's going, but it's good to have it back, though. It's a great way to, whether it was planned or not, but it was, wow. That's all I can say is wow.
The crowd doesn't seem to mind at all. They're all just waiting for the ceremony after the game.
Fun. This is the way it used to be, and it's nice to see it here at least one more time.
You're 2 for 2 now. Are you afraid to kick that next field goal?
Let's not talk about that. We still got 12 minutes, and if I got to kick one, I got to kick one.
All right, I'm not getting blamed for a jinx here, fellas.
Okay, thanks for bring that up, by the way.
I don't think you can jinx Louis Pasaglia.
2 for 2, we're ready to go. Lou Pasaglia.
Now the guys had to stretch out again. Went through a whole warm-up routine.
So where are we? Is this first down BC? I guess so. Doug Nussmeier grabbed from behind and thrown to the turf at the 50-yard line.
Well, the Saskachewan Roughriders had a bunch of time to drop a brand new defense, and they decided to bring the free safety. They had 15 minutes over there to draw something up. They said, let's bring Marcus McDavid off the edge. It's something they haven't seen, and it will work, and it did.
Loss of 10 yards, thanks to McDavid. Riders on top of the BC Lions, 25-20. Final football game in BC Place for this season. Jimmy the Jet Cunningham can't get away out there, and the Lions are definitely out of Louis range here.
Well, what a play there, though, by Jackie Mitchell. I mean, he came up, took on the block of Brett Anderson, threw him aside, and made a big tackle on Jimmy Cunningham. I mean, let's get back to some hitting in the football game here. Watch this. Number 8 just gets steamrolled by Jackie Mitchell, stood up and put down on his back, and down goes Jimmy Cunningham. Big time play right there. He's going to throw.
Gets to throw it out to the far side. Not enough for the first down.
Oh, what a throw!
One more completion for Lou Pasaglia, though.
Well,
it was third in a whole bunch.
Coming into the game, he was 22 of 38 for 459 yards passing his career. This is a formation they've shown before this season. Throw it out there to Chuck Levy, but they had a long way to go for the first, and he couldn't get there.
So it'll be a turnover. Charge to the Lions.
Well,
what to watch for tonight? Louis to kick, seen lots of that.
Yep.
Louis to pass or run. Well, we've seen the pass now.
Seen the pass.
And
he's already done that too.
Yeah, the power was supposed to be later, but then the little power failure or light shortage here in Vancouver brought it on a little early. There'll be another one later. Davis running well again. And he is over 1,000 yards in his rookie CFL season. Coming in with 910. He was at 999 prior to that carry. So 1,000 yards for Darren Davis.
That's great. I'm glad Steve Barretto called it. It's a game that in the standings means absolutely nothing. To have Louis step up and throw a pass in his last game in BC Place is pretty cool.
We're waiting for the run by number 5. Davis for another 4, averaging 6.3 yards a carry. Saskatchewan's offense really got rolling when they found Darren Davis playing in his 12th game.
Well, last year, this is a team that ranked 7th in the league. They've increased their production in the running game. Last year, they ranked 6th throwing the football. They moved that up to 3rd. They added almost 100 yards in that category per game. And really improved offensively this year in a big way.
Marvin Graves steps up. Tight coverage. Vendras.
I think it was pretty good timing. Vendras wants a penalty. Eric Carter broke on the football, had his hand in there, and I believe he touched it first. I think it was pretty good timing on the break. Marvin Graves is all the way down in the secondary trying to get the call. You be the judge. Comes across, well, he might have that left hand just a tad early. It helps when you slow it down into slow motion.
So the Riders look at third down.
They're going to gamble.
Third down and 5 to go, Saskatchewan. Graves remains in there.
It'd be a 51-yard field goal attempt for Paul McCallum, which would be longer than his longest this year, but
he's not in there.
It's indoors, and they're going to gamble.
2 receivers, make it 3 receivers to the near side for Graves. And that's where he looks to his right. He's got Marsh. Missed him. Marsh got in behind. Turnover the other way. 1st and 10 for the Lions when we return to the CFL Live from Vancouver. Game story tonight brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight. Here's what we have.
It's Louis night. 8 points from Pasaglia, and guess what? He's in the huddle right now.
Yeah, we thought the party was over when the lights went out, but it continues here tonight.
AJ, 1,000 yards receiving, and Davis and Millington over 1,000 yards. And right now in the huddle on the 1-yard line.
Lou Pasaglia, is he a quarterback, wide receiver, kicker? What do you think? 3:02 to go.
Well, he's calling the play right now. So Doug Nussmeier is not there. This is not the field goal formation.
Pasaglia behind the center. Did he get the touchdown?
He did.
Louis has the touchdown. They have to peel him off the pile. Oh, look at the arm on him. He threw it up into the second deck.
Well, in his very first game in 1976, John Shara threw him a touchdown pass. In his last game in BC Place in the regular season, he gets his one and only rushing touchdown, a 1-yard plunge.
Now he adds one more point because it's automatic on the convert. Whoa, second effort, Louis. The guy is 46.
Well, he took 46 hits in the middle of that pile, one for every year.
Well, do you think they go for 2? He's the all-time leader in scoring in professional football history. Coming into this game tonight.
You know what? They should go for 2.
He was 28 points shy of 4,000, an absolutely unbelievable milestone. Here's Pasaglia. He'll hammer it through. One more convert. So, 2:47 to go. I don't think he can get to the 28.
Well, we told you what to watch for at the beginning of the game, right? Said to watch for him kicking, watch for him passing. He's done that. Watch for him running, and now he's done that.
Well, it's been quite a night. It really has. 33,300 are here tonight to salute Louis.
He needs 10 more points for 4,000.
Well, that's only a touchdown, a convert, and a field goal. He can do that.
We've seen him throw.
It's only to round out the number because he's got the record.
Yeah, we've seen him throw. We've seen him run now for a 1-yard touchdown. He's taken a bow when the lights went out. He'll take another bow at the end of this football game. In a situation where the team really should have gone for 2 because now it's a 2-point game. If they go for 1 and get it, it's still a field goal beats you. If you get the 2 and get it, field goal ties it. But they wanted to give Louis that extra point.
Well, it's been a fun night, and 25 years of watching Lou Pasaglia has really been something rather special. I mean, we've seen a lot of great kickers in this league. We just haven't seen one who is as consistent as Lou Pasaglia for as long as he has been consistent.
Now, of concern is the health of Alfred Jackson heading into the playoffs in 1 week in Commonwealth Stadium. He went down to get Louis Pasaglia the opportunity for that 1-yard run. This was the hit from Marcus McDavid. Blatant pass interference, and he went down and favored his wrist immediately. That left wrist went down to the turf hard. He grabbed it right away, and that's what he was favoring when he walked off.
So he's got ice on it over there, and hopefully it's not too serious, but you can tell that Alfred Jackson is still in a little bit of pain.
Well, and if he can't go next week, obviously I'm not speculating that it's that bad, but he can't go next week. What a huge loss in a mean-nothing game for Steve Barato.
Lions take it deep into the final 3 minutes. Riders ready to return. Demetrius Pendras slides to the outside. And he's forced out by Brett Anderson.
Well, now it's a 2-point game, and this is pretty good field position for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 4 first downs from them, and they're kicking a field goal. And now it's a 1-point lead for the Riders with time ticking down. Are we setting up the storybook ending or what?
Well, I don't know
for
what
Mr.
else
Pasaglia
can happen here tonight on Love You Louie night in Vancouver.
I asked him about if he was commissioner for a day, what would he do?
Missed the tackle there. Eric Gulliford to the 30, to the 41. And who missed the tackle?
Well, a couple of missed tackles in the open field. And all of a sudden, Saskatchewan's in field goal range.
2:25 to go. Riders with another big gain, another first down, set up at the BC 42. I should say so. There are 3 flags down. Make that 4. Here's Farhat.
Well, John, I just spoke to Alfred Jackson, and apparently it's not his wrist that's injured, it's the fingers on his left hand. Not a break or any sort of a dislocation, but a nerve problem. He says right now he can't feel the tips of any of the fingers on his left hand. Right now he's obviously in a lot of pain, and like Glenn says, they could ill afford to lose him for next week's playoff game.
All right. And a receiver needs to have feeling in his fingers.
Particularly in Commonwealth in mid-November. Could be a little nippy up there. It was a procedure call against Saskatchewan.
25 years and number 5, still pretty competitive, isn't he?
Yeah.
He wants to win this
question.
baby.
He has a touchdown. He has a completion. He has field goals and converts. And the Riders have a first down on a catch by Ching. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, no,
they needed a whole bunch more than that.
Yeah,
10 yards, but they still need more.
That was the front marker he passed. It was the penalty took him back. He got back to the front and basically made up the yardage they lost in the penalty and then a couple extra. So now they get into a 2nd and 8 situation. In field goal range.
2:02 to go. And this place is wild, as I'm sure you can hear. Gulliford, ball squirts loose. Lions think they have it. I don't think so.
Gonna say it was down.
See, I'm guessing if Louis went out and said, it's our ball, they would have given it to BC.
They'd give it to him. Gulliford catches it. He fights for some extra yards. He's about 3 short of the first down right there, and he was definitely on his back when the knee came through and knocked the ball out. So the officials were right on it. Saskatchewan will bring in the field goal team. Now, something that they like to do and have done in the past is to shift that front line down and try and draw the Lions offside.
Well, this is setting up for quite a conclusion here. If McCallum makes this, we're going to see a wonderful finish. He's wide. Jimmy Cunningham has a chance to get it out, but decides he'll give up the single point.
He's just wasting time. He's just trying to get as many seconds off the clock as he can because the single doesn't hurt them right now.
So add one more to the Rough Rider total. But what I was saying, had McCallum made it, would have given the Lions a minute 23 to drive and then set up Louis for a shot at the winning field goal. Farhad.
John, last week it was Damon Allen's turn to celebrate the spotlight in front of all of these fans. This week it's Louis Pasaglia. Damon, tell me what you think he's going through.
Well, it should be an exciting time for him, and you can tell that during the game we're trying to get as many points as we can for him, but it has to be an exciting time. At the same time, he's probably ready to go on and move on. He had an outstanding career, and it's a career that the PZ fans of Vancouver will always remember.
Still got a couple of games left. Hopefully you're going to Edmonton next week. Look ahead to that matchup.
Yes, right now is just trying to get everybody healthy out of this game, but yeah, we're excited about the opportunity for us to go to Edmonton next week.
Damon, good luck.
Thank you.
Everybody healthy out of that game, and Alfred Jackson will be the talk of the town all week long.
23 yards on the previous run by Simon Buffo. And the BC Lions, with a minute 16 on the clock, have a 1-point lead. And under normal circumstances, they'd like to get as much time off this clock as possible. These are not normal circumstances. They want Louis to kick one more, don't they?
Yeah.
In spite of the fact that they have a 1-point lead. Buffo again behind Big Dan Payne. It's been a long night here. Tonight the lights went out at BC Place.
Well, the flags fly after the fact again. And Jamie Terrace is in an all-out brawl with Andrew Henry. He's going to get tossed. Something happened at the bottom of that pile that has Jamie Terrace riled.
What time's that flight, partner?
Yeah, I think we might be trying to catch the first one in the morning and on the dead fly. Whoa.
Six flags are on the field. Well, the kicker and his owner, David Braley.
Well, the question is now, does Louis Pasaglia stay in the organization? And I asked him about it, and he'd love to. He would absolutely love to. He is the BC Lions, and I think the organization would be very wise to find a position for Louis Pasaglia, either as an assistant coach or somewhere in the
a meaningful
office.
Position is what he needs. Because
Absolutely.
He's a very articulate and smart guy. It's not a question of just roving ambassador or something like that for Louis Pasaglia. I wouldn't believe. I would say find the right kind of position, and it would be a terrific idea. Less than a minute to go on Louis' night. From the stadium at BC Place, Lions have the lead by a point.
Congratulations, Louis. It's been great watching your career. Somebody that I obviously look up to, being from Vancouver as well, and you give the rest of us kickers hope to last as long as you have. So best wishes outside football, and we'll definitely be seeing you around.
Well, Louis still kicking down there on the sidelines. Less than a minute to go. It's a 1-point ball game.
Jamie Terrace just got thrown out of the football game. Out of that whole fight, he was the only player to be thrown out, and the Lions are backed up to their 35. So the last kick that Louis may have is a punt in the regular season.
We should stress that.
Yeah.
So long to the fans of British Columbia, not so long to the game, because there's at least one more. Who knows, maybe two more, maybe three more. Interesting night as Louis kicked a couple of field goals and then into the end zone from 1 yard away.
Kind of got happy feet when he first took the ball and then thought, well, I better dive in there. And it was actually the second effort that got him across the line. Well, here he is in punt formation.
This is third down and too many to count, Glenn.
Well, he needs a big one, though, because the the Riders have time to get back into field goal range and win this football game.
39 seconds on the clock.
Whoa! Got a huge one.
That's a heck of a kick for Lou Pasaglia. If that's the last one in this building, well, maybe not. Loose ball on the return. Louis may get a chance to kick another one.
They gave it to the Riders. The Riders have it, but what a punt.
47 yards. Nice way to be remembered.
Well, he needed a big one. He gets a bad punt off in this case, and the Riders are in perfect field position a couple first downs away. As it is, he gets the 47-yarder off, and now he's given the defense a chance. His last regular season in Canadian football, if he doesn't kick another field goal, he will have the record for field goal percentage in a single season, like Damon Allen last week on a 45-yard bomb to beat Ron Lancaster. Louis Pasaglia is going to do that record in style.
It's a single season record currently held by Dave Ridgway. 90.6% Ridgway had in 1993. In Louis' last season, the 25th year or silver anniversary tour for Lou Pasaglia.
I'll tell you what.
His percentage is better than Ridgway's, so that will be a new CFL record. Coming into the game, Pasaglia good on 38 of 42.
He's always been a very emotional player, very emotional person, and he's going to feel it as this game winds down.
This is it. Final 13 seconds. Loose ball. There might be one more kick for Louis.
I think there might be. He's wondering right now, do I go to get my helmet?
Yes, get him out there and let him hammer it through.
They want him to. The fans here in BC Place want to see one more time. Field goal from Louis Pasaglia. 10 seconds left on the clock. What he doesn't want to do is end on a miss.
Well, if he ends on a miss, now my calculator isn't working very well here right now. He's got his field goals. He needed one field goal without a miss. So now he's got 2 field goals. So if he did have a miss, does that drop that percentage down below 90.6?
You're asking the wrong guy. You know what? They're just going to let the clock run out.
They're going to keep the record.
A lot of people across this country are watching this game to celebrate great career Louis Pasaglia, and I'm one of them. Played against him for 11 years, watched him as a kid growing up here in BC, and now been had the opportunity to talk about him from the booth. Louis, thanks a lot for the memories, buddy.
Yeah.
Tremendous job. It was a great, great run.
Few athletes touch so many in a special way. Louis Pasaglia has had very few detractors in his 25 years on the CFL football field. This is the final night at BC Place, but Louis Pasaglia still has an opportunity in the next couple of weeks to win another Grey Cup.
Well, I say we give the Adidas game ball to number 5.
Yeah, well, he's already taken it. He's already got the darn thing down there.
Hey, BC Lions and especially Louis Pasaglia, good luck in the playoffs, but a tremendous career, and all you can really say is congratulations. And I really hope that either with the BC Lions or with this league, he stays involved with the Canadian Football League. He's been a tremendous ambassador, and he has a great passion for Canadian football.
Hang in, the final farewell to Lou Pasaglia at the stadium at BC Place is coming up. The Lions have a few special plans to honor the greatest Lion of them all, Louis the Lion.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the most prolific scorer in the history of football. Over 400 games, has scored almost 4,000 points, and he's done it all for one team, the BC Lions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome the one, the only, Lou Pasaglia. like to have you sit back and relax for a couple of minutes and enjoy the moment. There are many people here who have things to say about you and to you. If I might be the first, I want to tell you I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of this. I'm most pleased to bring you the greetings from the people who really do matter most. The fans from all across the city, the province, hundreds and hundreds of them, who have taken the time in the last couple of weeks to stop and sign CKNW's Love You Louie-ogram. Many of the signatures underneath notes where people have written about the inspiration you've brought to them and the joy that they've shared in the years you played. We all know how you love to read, so we have a winter's reading here for you, and we'd like to present it to you now. Ladies, if you please.
So close.
Yeah.
His eyes are all red. So close.
Thousands of messages and signatures. We want you to read them all and enjoy them. And thanks to all who participated.
Come on up, Louie. Now, Mr. Braley, will you please unveil? That's right, Louie. It's your own famous number 5 jersey. And you can take this one home, Louie, because we won't be using the number 5 around here anymore. The number 5 is now officially retired. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Louie Pasaglia.
I want to say one thing. When I was a little boy, growing up in the east end of Vancouver, that was the sound I heard from my house. And I knew that the Lions was doing good. They either were scoring a touchdown, or they're making a big play, or they're kicking a field goal. And that was the sound that made me dream of one day becoming a BC Lion. What a great evening. You guys were tremendous, and I hope you had as much fun as I did. Thank you for that. The real truth about me playing this long wasn't about a singular individual. It was about family, community, teammates, and the best fans in the country. I want to thank my family behind me. You can't imagine how many balls they had to chase down over 25 years and how many balls they had to hold while I was practicing my trade in many parks across the Lower Mainland. I want to tell them that I love them and thank you for everything you've done for me.
The number 5 is officially retired and will be forever known as Louis Passaglia's number.